Don't be alarmed about all the mess around me. I just want to talk about Casio again today. We have previously in 2022 walked through the FP-200, and we also had the Casio FP-1100 and 1000 on the table and looked through those two, cleaned them up and fixed them. There's still a long way to go. We also took a look at the FP-1011FD, the floppy disk drive that could be connected either to this or to that one. But we're still missing to have a look at the double floppy disk drive that's up here. And I have other peripherals. This is, for instance, a serial RS-232 adapter that can be plugged into the computer. But if you were really working with this, like doing, I don't know, calculations or whatever you would be doing with the two computers, you're missing out on stuff. And what you're missing are printers and plotters, depending on however you want it to go, which direction. And as we are talking about the line, the FP line, I have actually two plotters that I want to show you. I'm going to show you both of them briefly today, and then we'll go through one, and then eventually I'll show the other one and go through that one. So the first one, which is this one, I hope you can see it. It's the FP-100. This is I will say, the newer one of the two I'm going to show you. And this is not the one we'll go through today. I'm just going to briefly tell a little bit about it because the two printers are more or less the same. So this was kind of like meant for small calculator in the Casio line. Not actually for a computer, but it can be hooked up. But the theme for this was more that you have a small calculator and then you can hook up a printer, or a plotter in this case. And that was this one. Gonna look at this in another video. Because I have been giving this one. And again, I'm not sure you can see it, but let's just hope. This is the FP-1011PL. So 1011, that's something that's kind of like hooked into this scheme of things. Whereas, and let me take it back, the FP-100 is more to this line of the FP series. Handheld computers, pocket computers, small calculators. So I think we need to open this one up. There's a power supply floating in it, and I have some paper. The two printers are what's called Alps printers. And Alps printers were a brand that was put into loads and loads and loads of printers back in the good days. And over time, they seem to break. And let's hope everything is working in this one, so we don't need to stress about that. Both of them are 4-color printers, which we'll have a look inside and see how that actually works. The reason I know all of this is because I had another, not a Casio branded one, but actually a Commodore branded one, which is kind of like the same printer. So I know a little bit, but we'll have to dig into it. And obviously I need to get rid of all of this, and then we'll open this casing and have a brief look at what's inside it, right? That's the case with the Casio mini plotter printer FP-1011PL from Casio Computer Corporation Limited. And I'm so happy I got hold on this one. So let's see if we can get it out. Sadly, the casing is broken a bit, all the boxes, but that's okay, right? So let's see if we can get it out. I just received it, so I have not even had any time to look at it, so I don't know what's inside it. Okay. So there's a manual. This needs to be fixed, and I will scan it in and put it on my archive for everybody to see it. So let's take the camera a little bit closer, right? And let's have a walk around it. So again, in the front, it's very nice. I really like it. And if I just for a second, hold on, take up the FP-200, you can clearly see that they belong together. So this brown cover up here is the same over here together with the gray brownish color down here. So they really suit very nice together. So there's nothing in the front. There's obviously something on the top. There's a power button, something called online, which is a push button. There's the pen change. This is for 4 colors, so you somehow can change the colors, the pen in it. And then there's a feed, that must be a button for pushing the paper up. Nothing there. And on the back, we have some power. And here's a label saying 38112A. Over here we have the printer port. There you go. I see 2 screws, one there, one there. And on the other side, I see something that probably makes it able to lift this area up. Let's turn it around. No, let's start by opening this one up and take out the paper. And there's another piece of paper in here. It says, notice to FP-200 users. That's us, right? It just writes something about if you want to change character mode, you need to do that. If you want to go into graphics mode, you need to print this. And temporary graphics mode is that. If we now turn it around, just see what's on the back. And here we have the label. I'm not sure you can see it, but I hope. So Casio AC 220 volts, 50-60 hertz, 16 watt. And the model is, as we know, FP-1011PL. The serial number, and I need to lean in, very tiny letters, so that's 6301408. Casio Computer Corporation Limited, made in Japan. And do we see any screws in the back? We do not. So let's figure out how to get inside it. We always need to unscrew these 2, and when I went through here, I'm pretty sure you can't see it, but there seems to be some sort of hinge there, and I saw the same when I turned it around here. There's kind of like a dip. So I must assume unscrewing the 2 screws here and pushing in some of this will lift this one up. And let's just pay our attention to this side where we saw that one. So let's lift up here and see what we have. Oh, it does come off. There we go. Which reveals the printer down there. And the best part of it, and let's do this, is we have the pens, the 4 color pens. You cannot get them anymore. I found in Japan one seller, he wanted 300 pounds for that. So I'm very pleased I have it at least. Hopefully, because they're sealed, they will work. And let's try and open one up like this. And out comes the red one. And that should be able to take off. And here we have the pen. Not sure if you can see it. And if let's write on my hand. Does it even work? It does. I'm not sure you can see it. There it is, right there. So it works. 40-year-old pens, maybe. Still working, so let's put it back. So that's a nice compartment for safely storing the pens when you don't use the printer so they don't dry out. And again, we saw the printer mechanism down here, so that's more or less just the printer. The rest is just, power supply and some boards to make it actually print. And down there, that's the printer head where these will be fed into. And I'm assuming if I turn it on and I press pen change, it will rotate and then you push in the different colors in the right spots. So that out of the way, let's find the screwdriver and let's dig into this amazing piece of Casio equipment. And let's see if I'm right. I am. So it's pushing in here and on the same side over there, and we should be able to lift it up, right? I think so. Wow. I don't know why there's a sticker like this. And obviously it's dirty and we need to clean it. So this, oh, sorry, the pens fall out. Let me just grab them again, located them. So here we have a plotter. Let's turn it a little bit around and let's see if we can figure out what we are seeing. So this is the power supply over here. And I see some ribbon cables there. I see ribbon cables there. These green ones, because this is a Casio, so this is always green for obvious reasons, so that's ground. So can we remove some of this? Can we slide very slowly? We can pull them out. There we go. And then I should find a screwdriver here. I'm sorry, it wasn't in focus. Oh, I'm so sorry. There. So I just removed that one from in here. This is what connects all the buttons down there. So let's take the ground cable off by unscrewing this one. And when I do that, I think I'm also unscrewing the board itself. So let me take the screw away and unscrew down there, like this. And what's keeping it? It's keeping it because if we turn it around again, there are two lights, one there and one there. So this is still hooked up to that. And they are welded in. So let me see if I can show it. So down there, this is actually welded in, so I can't get it off. Makes it a little bit difficult if I want to clean this. Yeah, no way for me to get this out without breaking it. So that has to stay. Yeah. Sadly, it has to stay. But when I clean it, I'll just wrap this in a bag and then it should be fine when I'm cleaning it. So let's take this one away. And let's look over here. So this is for the printer paper that goes in here. And it actually looks very nice and very clean. I don't see any dust or dirt on the mechanism itself. If I just very gentle push on the wire, it is very firm. So I will assume that the printer itself is working as it should. If we then have a peek at the power supply, in here I see a fuse. So let's get this one out and let me measure that. It does state 250 volt at 500 milliamps. Does it say anything on the board itself? It does. It's probably very difficult to see, but way down in there, it also says fuse 250 5 amp. So let's test it. So set to continuity. Fuse is working. Let me put it back. Like that. I don't see any more fuses, but I think we need to dig into this area and see what you have in there, because this power supply needs somehow to be rectified to the right voltages inside here somewhere. So I will assume we have two boards, probably one for, maybe that's the lower one for the printer unit, and then maybe a higher one for rectifying the voltage. So I see a screw there, and one over here. And do I see any more? No. So let's try that. Okay, let's turn it a little bit around, because I think, and I saw another screw down there, which then means we need to figure out to get this away. And for that purpose, I see there, over here, and up here. So 4 more screws. And we should be able to lift this up. And I see the ribbon cable for the printer mechanism can also be pulled out, maybe? No, it cannot. So let's find the screws. Let's move this around, which gives us, oh, the whole printer unit just fell out. This one. So that's not screwed together. And I can see, if we look at this, I hope you can see it, there's a hole in this area, and there's a hole up there, and they go into that nut and that nut, and this one and that one goes in there and in there, so they're aligned in there. So no screws for this area. Let's hope I didn't break anything. Let's just place it down there, and let's concentrate on the last screw over here. I see 2 more screws down there, they're tiny screws. So let's see if we can get this off. And we can. So that's definitely print circuits. So this is not anything for power, but I see something underneath it. There's another board down there. So, and let's see if we can have a closer look at what we have on the board itself. So let's turn it a little bit around like this. So this one says HN61364P. This is an EEPROM. So that's probably what holds the software for the printer itself. I see some ribbons and something over there, and I can also see that that ribbon connected to the printer head goes there. This one is the other one that goes out here, and I can take it off here. Which should make us able to take this away. Once I've removed the ground cable. So let's concentrate on this area, just to see if we can see what it is. The board itself is not screwed got any screws. This is just the plastic clips, which we are not fond of. They can be a pain in the butt to get out, but let's try. So 1, 2, 3 left, and I have one over here. There we go. I feel I need to take the ribbons off. Also, the ribbon cable is bent over and goes through the board, and the same goes here. Yeah, and then just like this. There we go. So let's turn it around. Let's make this through. One board. Very beautiful. I see a hidden gem down there. On here it says that this is a PD-78CO6G. That's a microprocessor, and it's right there. So that's the brain. The rest is just glue logic. Yes. 74LS, 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 and some minor caching and some more glue logic 74LS, 174N. All those are the same. Cool. And that leaves us with this. And yes, I was sure there was something missing on the power supply part, and it comes in here. And I see another fuse. So this was good that I took out the first board. So let's just test this power supply. Let's test this fuse down there. And on the fuse, it says 125 volt, 3 amps. And if we take back our continuity tester, still working. And the fuse is working too. We just have a small peek on the board where the fuse was. I see a little bit of writings. So hopefully you can see it too. So it states fuse 125 volt 3A. So perfect. I see 2 of these, and if I have a look at them, nothing is leaking, nothing is bulging, and there's absolutely no smell. We have 2 more down here, and all seems perfectly fine. There's absolutely nothing. I see a number here, P302-2A, and if I find the other board, that one says P302-1A. So obviously it's built together. I think this is very nice. And let's just have a peek at the plastic. I think there's a little bit of grease over here, and obviously just needs some cleaning. But that should be it, right? So let me just clean this before we move on, and then come back to you once it's clean. I'll clean this. I'll clean the top of this and this one. and that one. And obviously, well, not obviously, the boards don't need any cleaning. They are perfect. So I won't touch the boards. I use this, and it's all clean now, everything, and that's nice. So what I want to do now, I've fed the paper in it and pulled it through accordingly to the manual. And if I look at the manual, let me see if I can find it again. I think it's like here, page 3, which tells me that pressing the power switch with the feed key simultaneously held down causes a self-check to occur. So turning it on whilst holding down the feed key down here should put the computer, sorry, it's a printer, and it's actually a plotter, should take the plotter into a self-test. So let's try this, and let me turn it on whilst holding down feed. The light comes on, I hear the printer is doing something. I think we have a problem because the paper should move up. Let me try to help it. Yeah. Yeah, so if I help it a little bit, it will. So the mechanism for the paper feed is right over there. Let me turn this one off again. So we need to have a look inside the actual printer mechanism over here. And let me unhook the printer, let me unhook the Canon. So if I move in closer, so over on this side, there, this is the mechanism. Let me find something to point with. There we go. So over here, this is the mechanism, this area, for feeding the paper. On the other side, which is over here, this is to move the printer head forwards and backwards. And down here on this side, there is a magnet that actually pushes the printer head towards the paper or back, which is done here. So 3 mechanisms: feeding the paper, pushing the head towards the paper, and moving the head left to right. And the printer head is moving, and we heard this one working, and the head actually moved in and out. So this one and this one over there is working, but this area, the feeding area, is not working. So let me take out the paper like this, and then unhook this area again, and let's have a look inside there. So if I take the printer out, which is not screwed in as I told you in the beginning, and we're talking about this area over here, I need to turn it a bit around like this. So in here there must be a step-up motor that drives all this. And if I have a look, if I just by myself tries to turn around, it moves as it should, like this. But, and if you can look at this area, it seems that this one is cracked. There's a gap in there. And when I turn it towards that, so moving it this way, this one, now I feel tension. Here it's smooth, but until it reaches that crack, it's like I need to force it. And I noticed that this also moves out while it's running like this. So if I take it off, like this, all the way out, it's the same thing. So we may have a tiny problem. You see it there? It's just right there. That's the crack. So when it goes in, there's tension, I can't move it. But if I move it up, it moves perfectly. But to this point, it stocks. And then it, I don't know if you can hear the so there's definitely something wrong here. So I need to figure out if I can take this one out and have a closer look at it. Maybe I need to unhook this so I can take this one out first, because there's, I don't know what you call it, but I can't push it all the way out. Not more than this. Let's find the crack again. There you see. So that is our problem. And I have no idea how to fix this. I can't 3D print something like this. This is too tiny. So I need to take it off. So I will unmount this, take that one out, so I then can take this one off, and then maybe I can super glue it back together again, hopefully. So let me try to do that. As you can see, I've taken the Alps printer unit. This is the Alps printer. I've taken this out of the casing, and let me show you. It goes, sorry, there we go. It sits in the printer like this, and our issue is over here. I just want to briefly talk about this tiny piece. And there's a similar one sitting right there. And it goes right there. And I had to take, let me move it in, it's very tiny. I had to take it out, that piece, from there, because I need to take this gear off first. Let me find something to point with. So I had to take off this, well, we have to take this one off because I cannot take this broken gear off because it doesn't slide over. Can only slide to there. So I need to take this one off first. Let me do that. Very difficult with one hand, but let me try it. There we go. So that's off. That means I can now take this one off. There we go. And let me see if I can see the crack. Everything is so tiny, right? No. Can't really see it. I think it's over there. No. Nevertheless, that's our challenge. So what to do? You cannot 3D print a tiny gear like that. So I have this one. This is a bronze gear with the same number of tooth, the same height, the same width, and the hole inside this is also the same. So I should be able to hook this in to that one. The problem, let me take this away. I probably need to find a casing because I will lose all these tiny bits. So that's one gear, that's the other gear, and this tiny thing here belongs to this one. There we go. So, back to this again. So, the challenge is, sorry everything is so tiny. We need to take the gear, hook it into there. But this is metal on bronze. So I need to be able to press it onto that. I just can't press it into this because there's a tiny stepper motor in here, which means I need to take this one off. I already had a peek, and if I turn this one around, and you need to unhook it down here. Once you've done that, we can lift this one up like this. There we go. So here we see the two stepper motors, one of each side. This is our problem. This one is the one that's working. Well, the stepper motors are working, but we need to attach the gear. So, I don't know how to video it, but we'll see if I can manage. So I'll have to have this on here, whilst having a mechanism pressing at the same time on this. So I can press this inwards. So let me try to find a tool that could be suitable for that. I need to go and look that one up, and then we'll see. So hold on. So I located a selection of tools. I think I'll go for this, but I also have this, but I think the tooth in here are too wide now, so it's going to be difficult. I also had this, which can be widened to go over, but it's just too heavy, I think. So let me take these two away. And I think I'm going to focus on trying to have this in here. So the problem, and this is why this is going to be stressful, I need to have this hooked onto here somehow. So let's just assume I'm doing this. I hope it's in the shots in the camera, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna hook this up here, and I need to put my glasses on. I can't see tiny things like this, but I'm gonna do, well, I think you get the point, right? Gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna squeeze it very slowly. So the deal is the shaft through the stepper motor needs to be fixed. So I can't bend anything in there, obviously. So let me, let me see if I can do it whilst the camera is somehow running, but I'm not sure it's gonna succeed, because I definitely don't want to break anything in here. Already lost the gear. There we go. So let's see. I think we're slowly getting there. So yeah, let's continue. We kind of like only have one shot at this. Let me briefly try to find the other gear and put that on, just to see how everything fits. So that was this one. I think we have a success, right? Is it twirling around now? It is. Look, everything seems to be working. I just need to put it further in, and then we need to put in the split that prevents this gear, the big white one, from falling out. I'll just squeeze this more in. Let's see if it's all in. This is flush too. No, I can squeeze it a little bit more. So let's try that. I think that's it. The gear's in. This seems to be working perfectly. The tooth are matching up with the other gears. The thingy here, whatever that's called, that's for the paper. That's where the paper's going, and this is the printing mechanism with the pens, the plots on the paper that will go up and down. Everything seems to be working. I just briefly wanted to have a look, because there is obviously another one down there. But if I look at it, it seems all fine. So I think there's nothing left to do besides putting in our tiny thing, which I had up here. This tiny thing. So let me do that off camera. Let me put this one back when you put this piece back, you need to remember the teeth goes behind. So let me not lose this one. And so the teeth goes behind. If you can see, there's a screw there, so it goes in there. So it kind of like goes like this on both sides, obviously, and then it needs to be lifted over. You see, it's behind now. This needs to be lifted over, so I just need to take some of this out. Let me do this off camera. It's easier. I can't do it with the camera in my shoulder, so I'll come back. A small correction. I said this had to go over. It has to go underneath, just to state that correction. So sorry for misleading you. So it just kind of like clicks in, then it's that. Let me continue with this, and I'll come back. As you can see, I put in the Alps printer into the printer casing, and I put in some paper. I injected the 4 pins that came. I tested the pins before if there's any color in them, and it seems to be okay-ish. So the deal is, I'm just gonna turn it on, and then this should turn over so it finds the black color. So let's try to do that. Okay, not good. It didn't do anything. Hope you can see it just tilted a little bit. It's supposed to be tilting over and find the black color, which is this one. It's supposed to be there. So let me try and turn it off and turn it on again. You see, something's wrong and it's clicking. Man, and then it does this again. So what happens if I go into the test mode? That's holding feet down and turning on the power. It's printing a tiny one, but it's supposed to be changing the colors when it does this, and it stays on the blue one now. That's not good. You see, it can't feed the paper correctly. But the gear over here is working as it should. So we still have an issue with the paper feeding, even though it's so. I just need to clean where it takes the paper up and down. But there's no doubt about it. I need to shift the gear over here. Let me turn it off again. So the thing I did over here, changing that gear, I need to do the same over here. And let me see if I can feel it. Yes, it is cracked. I can feel the same thing as with this gear. So I'm gonna rip everything out again, taking this one off, putting in another gear, and hope for the best. So let me come back once I change the gear, and let's hope it's working. But we're almost there, right? We're almost there. I snipped off the gear. It was a little bit difficult to get it out, so I just snipped it off. I can't use it for anything. And as you can see, there's another gear in there. I just wanted to see if I can explain how this changing of the color pens up here works. So the gear, the stepper motor, moves the printer this way, which means this one turns that way. And when it goes over here, it actually jumps 3 times. That mechanism is very difficult to see. That mechanism is this metal plate down there. And I'm not sure you can see it. Way in there, there's a mechanism that's kind of like a gear thingy that knows where this is. There's a sensor here that figures out whether or not you have passed this metal thing up there. So it knows this is black. So this is when it turns on, it moves over and goes around until it finds the black one. So it has resets itself. And I need to be careful. So when I move this, so you can see now it will turn this way in. 1, There you go, 2. So now it's changed. So it does that 3 times for every color. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, and 2, and 3. So I think we fixed it. That's the gear. Let me mount everything back again, and let's test it again, right? Okay, test 2, right? So now we change the gear over there and over there. And I haven't put in the pens. Let me, so the pens are here. Just wanted to briefly see if when I turn it on, if this goes over there and tries to move the heads around to find the black color. So let me just say it's absolutely not black right now. And then I'll just turn it on over here. 1, 2, you see? And I'll find the one. If I then go on the keyboard and say pen change. So this is the position where you change the pen. So when it goes over here, it unhooks the pens and then you can take a new pen inside it. And if I press it again, it changes over there and moves over here so you can take it out. So let me refill all the pens and let's see if we can figure that out now. I'm actually not sure where the things are for black. So let me just turn it on again and ensure it's going to black over here. Yeah, okay. And then I'll say pen change, which moves over here. I'll put in black. And then I'll say pen change. Should twirl around over there. Don't know which color it is because this is purple. We don't have purple color, right? So I don't know. Let's just put in a random color. We can always change it. So let's put a blue one in. Pen change. Here comes the green one, and all we're missing is the red one. Like this. And maybe I should, I don't know. Let's just turn it off. Hold feed in, turn power on. Let's see. It changes the pens as it should, but sadly the pens are not. So blue and red seems to be working. And paper feeding, the paper is not going through, but it's moving over here. So the paper feeding mechanism is somehow broken. Now supposed to make circles, I think. Yeah, so we have a little further to go. So for the 3rd time, the Alps printer is out of the casing, and because it doesn't feed the paper. And the status is, by now we have changed this gear and that gear over there. And everything was working fine, but it still doesn't take up the paper. And if I show you, hopefully you can see, if I turn this around, that's the stepper motor on a gear, on another gear that goes to the top gear that actually drives the paper. And as you can see, it turns the paper around, but it just doesn't work. So if I put some pressure on it, this over here still turns. So this simply means, and you can see I've already taken this one out, this means that one is also broken. So, and that's not good because this is a very special gear. I'm not sure I can actually show you much about it. Let's see. You can see there's a spring inside, and actually this consists of, let me simplify, 2 of these put together. So one can go like this. I hope this is in camera and you can see everything. So, and this is for attention when you have one gear to another gear, and when it goes, how should I explain this? So when a gear turns from one direction to another direction, because the gears are cone shaped, that means there will be a gap like this in between 2 gears when you turn them around. And in order for that slack constantly to be touching something, you can have this spring within 2 gears pulled together. The spring is there, so that's not the issue. The issue is, and you most likely won't be able to see it, on the top it's cracked. So, how can we fix this? Again, I can't produce one of these. I went to my stock, our stock, where I picked up these. And obviously, because this is very special, this doesn't exist as an item any longer. So we need to find another way to put some strength or pressure on the actual, on this piece that goes on there. So we need somehow, because if I put this in, you see it just twirls around without actually spinning this. So we need some more pressure as this one is broken. And therefore, I went to our warehouse. There are different kinds of solutions to see how we can fix it. And let me see if I can explain to you. So either I take one of these, which are small rubber bands, and I put this one over. I have them in different sizes. This is the one that will, how shall I say, hurt the old plastic the least. If I do this, because this is just a rubber thing. I somehow tend to lean towards this. So that's the first thing I will try. If this doesn't work with these, I have loads and different springs. And the good thing about these springs are that they flatten here. And if let me find a big one so I can just show you what I mean. So the idea is to put this over, and if I turn it a little bit around while I'm turning it while I'm pressing it towards this one. It's very difficult with the camera, but if I do that, this would go over the plastic. There you see. This is the one that will most likely over time actually break the plastic, because there's so much tension in this spring constantly. It's a new spring. So maybe this whole thing will break. So I'm not a fan of this, but this is the end solution. Obviously you need to cut it over so it fits the height once you put this on. And as you can see, I'm trying to do it very carefully. Don't want to break anything. As you can see, I have loads of different strength of springs. Strength is how thick they are. That means that you cannot just pull on it. Sorry, you just cannot pull on it, and it's very thin. Then it's easier just to pull on it. So that's the strength. And then the size, the inner size of it, which then again tells you how much you can bend it. So I want to try with this. There are actually 2 different sizes here. You can't see it on camera. There are 2 different sizes, and I'm going for the smallest one. I'll put this on. Then I will put it on the gear, and then I'll come back, because this is going to be a little bit tiny. It's on. So if I just turn it here, let's see. I put some pressure on the paper thing. I think it's like 89% okay, 75 or something. So I think I'm gonna actually go for this solution. I think that's the best solution, using these rubber ones instead of a spring. Let's test it. Let's put it into the printer and then let's test it. To get back, just want to say the size of the inner circle, what you need, well, for that gear is 3.6 millimeters. So you know that if you want to go for one of these. Let's try. I put in the pins and let's just start it up in the test program. So I'm holding down feed and turning on power. I know that green color is not working. Neither seems black to be, but blue is working. Green is not working. And red is okay-ish. But as we seem to be seeing now, the paper is actually working now. Sadly, the pens are not good, but they could, over time, once they have been worked with, be working. And now you see it draws the circle. So the solution was these, and I didn't go for the spring because that could actually break stuff. So if you had the same problem, I'll go for one of these. And it seems to be working. So thumbs up. I'm just gonna stop this, building it all together, and then let's try and have a talk about it, right? Well, that absolutely took longer than I expected. Well, sometimes you just go along with the thing and see where you end. So we ended up needing to change 2 of the gears because they were broken, actually 3, maybe even more. But let's just leave it with that. So I fixed this one. And I just want to say that I will eventually, I don't know when. By the way, this is a very good tool to press the things on it. This is the other printer, and just want to briefly, if I can, so let me just move closer to the camera. So as you can see, it's the same mechanism, but this is A4, and here we have the pens. So this is the same thing, which we need to test eventually. This is the Casio FP-100. Let me just take this away again. And I just want to say that I have finally figured out a place where I can order the pens. It's a German site, and I will put the link in the description, and you see it here. I ordered them. They haven't arrived, so I'm not sure whether it's hoax or anything. I think I paid 35 euros for it, plus shipment, but we'll see. I definitely know that the pens over here, because I tested them, they are dried out, not working, none of them. And these are like, yeah, well, 10% left or something. So I ordered actually 2 packs, and we'll see. So once I receive that, we will have a look at that, and we'll change the pens in both of them, and then we'll see where it goes. Lifesaver this time with the gears, I'm pretty sure, because you need to be very careful when you are dealing with these sorts of things. You can't find the plastic ones, and that's why I went for bronze, because it's more soft, so when you press it on metal, it actually will hold tight to it. The thing with the rubber band, I measured it, and here you see a picture where you can see the gear that is actually broken, cracked with the rubber band. And the size that you need to find is a 3.6 millimeter. I would go for a 6.5 to get a little more tension on the actual gear. The spring solution was the backup solution. I wouldn't go for that if you could try not to, because there will be constant tension on the actual gear. And because this is very fragile, this plastic, 40 years old plastic, this will 100% break, because the gears are constantly moving, and therefore there's so much tension on it. With that tension on one of the gears, that will snap off. So I think the best solution for a vintage printer like this is to go with the rubber thing. This means also it's not 100% stable. There is a little bit of flexibility in it. But I would rather have a printer that is kind of like working like 99% than something that I'm afraid of turning on, knowing that over time, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a year, will break. And once that gear is broken, I can't fix it. Then it's dead. Then the printer officially is dead. So that's why I decided on that. Sorry it took a little bit longer than I anticipated, and I hope you enjoyed it. I wasn't really sure how to show you the things, because everything is tiny in this printer. So I am focusing in and out in order for you to maybe see and better understand some of the gears and how it works and stuff. I hope I did a good job for you girls and guys, and hope to see you soon again. So from here, goodbye.